The series begins with Han Sang-gyu, a rising star artist, attending an award ceremony. Despite winning the Best Artist award, Sang-gyu abruptly flees the stage due to a sudden hunch. Outside, her manager Yoo Woo-mi picks her up and swiftly drives away. The following day, media reports emerge accusing Sang-gyu fleeing from the event was prompted by her kid and son. In response, Sang-gyu, along with Woo-mi and Ryu Eun-ho, her friend and household assistant, announces her retirement from the entertainment industry. Eun-ho reminds Sang-gyu of the contractual fine for breach of terms. On the other hand, Do-jae, the CEO of T-Road Airline Company, who learns of Sang-gyu's contract termination from his secretary, Chon Ju-won. Calmly, Do-jae decides to personally locate his company's ambassador. Meanwhile, Sang-gyu pretends to be unwell at the hospital to evade journalists, with Woo-mi even deliberately taking photos of Sang-gyu pretending to be weak to be published. Nonetheless, Sang-gyu still causes a scene by throwing fruit at a doctor who was gossiping about her having plastic surgery and secret child. After some time, Ju-won, searching the internet for Sang-gyu's whereabouts, spots a photo of her in hospital attire, and promptly alerts Do-jae. Without delay, Do-jae heads to the hospital and finds Sang-gyu in tears on the rooftop. At that moment, Sang-gyu feels overwhelmed by the scandal surrounding her, especially after her mother Han Suk-hee expresses her shame. Do-jae was on the phone with Ju-won, then hands her his handkerchief and resumes talking to his secretary to inform him that he has not found Sang-gyu's whereabouts at the hospital, and suggests looking for her at nightclubs or hotels, as if he is unaware that the woman crying in front of him is the one he is looking for. Hearing this, Sang-gyu feels irritated by Do-jae's indirect criticism of her avoidance of the public eye. Upon returning to the office, Ju-won informs Do-jae that the daughter of T-Road Air's CEO is a big fan of Sang-gyu, prompting him not to cancel the contract. However, to Do-jae's surprise, Sang-gyu's management has already terminated their partnership with T-Road Air. At the hospital, Eun-ho and Woo-mi are seen praising Sang-gyu for reportedly making a donation to a foundation, which almost clears up the negative rumors surrounding her. However, Sang-gyu is puzzled as she doesn't remember making any such donation. Despite this, she attends the award ceremony for donors, where she clashes with the CEO who tries to undermine a student representative from the beneficiary school. Sang-gyu, irritated by the CEO's behavior, publicly humiliates him until he nearly strikes her. Fortunately, Do-jae steps in, preventing further trouble. He calmly offers to replace the CEO in supporting the foundation, surprising Sang-gyu with his presence, recalling their earlier encounter on the hospital rooftop. Shortly after, Do-jae invites Sang-gyu to the office to sign a partnership contract with T-Road Air, but she declines, expressing her intention to take a break from the entertainment industry. In response, Do-jae threatens to expose a fabricated donation Sang-gyu supposedly made, revealing that he actually made the donation on her behalf to improve her image. Faced with this revelation, Sang-gyu reluctantly signs the contract without thoroughly reading it, only to discover later that it requires her to accompany Do-jae on all business trips. Feeling deceived, Sang-gyu is frustrated and considers the contract to be a scam. After some time, Sang-gyu is forced to comply with various terms in the contract, including accompanying Do-jae on a business trip to Gwangju. To prevent her from leaving, Do-jae intentionally keeps her suitcase in his room, causing Sang-gyu to feel upset and cry alone in her room. From his balcony, Do-jae overhears Sang-gyu's sobs as their rooms are adjacent. The following day, Do-jae takes Sang-gyu to a business meeting, because the daughter of T-Road Air's business partner, who Do-jae is meeting, is a fan of Sang-gyu. With Sang-gyu's presence, the meeting progresses smoothly. During the flight back home, the exhausted Sang-gyu falls asleep on Do-jae's shoulder, making him nervous. When she wakes up, she suddenly feels something amiss and rushes into the airplane's restroom, where she transforms into a middle-aged woman. Panicked, Sang-gyu is startled, while Do-jae, concerned about her prolonged absence, enters the restroom to find her. It is shocked to see the middle-aged woman inside, who asks for his protection. It turns out that once a month, Sang-gyu lives as someone else of a different gender and age for a week, explaining her secretive behavior to avoid revealing her unique condition. Returning to Do-jae despite his confusion, he helps Sang-gyu by covering her head with a blanket, until they reach the airport lobby. Woo-mi, noticing Sang-gyu's condition, immediately approaches her friend, and just as Do-jae is about to explain, Woo-mi interrupts, attributing Sang-gyu's state to fatigue. After getting into the car, Sang-gyu feels frustrated, fearing that Do-jae may have discovered her secret. The following day, As Do-jae prepares for work, he ponders the unusual events surrounding Sag-yu. Meanwhile, Do-jae's stepsister Kung Sa-ra observes Do-jae embracing Sag-yu as they disembark from the plane. San-ra secretly dispatches paparazzi to monitor her stepbrother to learn his business travel schedule. On the other hand, Sag-yu notes the dates of her transformations on her phone, while expressing astonishment to Woo-mi at Do-jae's calm reaction after her airplane incident. As they discuss, Sag-yu receives a call from Do-jae, which Eun-ho answers. Soon after, upon seeing Sag-yu's suitcase in his office, Do-jae sends her a message to retrieve it within 30 minutes. Knowing this, Sag-yu arranges to meet at the cafe near Do-jae's office. Still in her middle-aged form, Sag-yu meets Do-jae, posing as her housekeeper assistant, to retrieve the suitcase. Do-jae hands it over, and as Sag-yu prepares to leave, he deliberately mentions the necklace she dropped at the airport. Quickly claiming it is hers, Sag-yu's actions raise Do-jae's suspicions about her true identity. During their dinner at the restaurant, Woo-mi wonders why Sag-yu met Do-jae while her body was changing. Sag-yu then explains that she had to meet him because Do-jae threatened to dispose of her suitcase, which all to get from her business partner's daughter at Two Road Air. At that moment, Sag-yu also expresses gratitude to her two friends for their unwavering support. Even though they were initially scared of her condition, she admits she would be sad if Woo-mi and Eun-ho left her, as they were the only ones who knew her secret. Meanwhile, at his office, Do-jae ponders whether the middle-aged woman he encountered was Sag-yu. To confirm his suspicion, he compares Sag-yu's and the woman's signatures. Seeing both signatures are the same, he becomes more convinced of his suspicion. Later, he goes to Sag-yu's house and sees the woman returning in a semi-drunk state, dropping her phone. Without Sag-yu's knowledge, Do-jae takes the phone. Upon Sag-yu's noticing his presence, she invites him in and asks him to wait. Do-jae secretly enters Sag-yu's walk-in closet and discovers the clothes worn by the middle-aged woman at the cafe. Meanwhile, Sag-yu is shocked to find her face has returned to normal and confronts Do-jae about his purpose for being there. Do-jae suddenly approaches Sag-yu and smells alcohol on her, reminiscent of the middle-aged woman. Shortly after, Do-jae takes his leave, still puzzled by Sag-yu and the middle-aged woman he encountered, especially with his prosopagnosia condition, making it difficult for him to remember other people's faces. Following the incident, Do-jae meets with Dr. Oh as he feels his condition worsening after misidentifying someone. The doctor advises him to try recognizing people by understanding their characteristics. Meanwhile, Sag-yu realizes her phone is missing and borrows Eun-ho's phone to call hers. She's surprised to find it in Do-jae's possession and hurries to his office to retrieve it, containing recordings of her transformations. However, she's denied entry by the receptionist, as she lacks an appointment with Do-jae. Meanwhile, a photo of Do-jae embracing Sag-yu at the airport circulates on the internet, sparking inquiries about their relationship. Sag-yu appears confused to answer the questions until Do-jae suddenly arrives, covering her head and taking her away from the crowd. In the car, Do-jae returns Sag-yu's phone, which she claimed belonged to her housemaid. With many journalists seeking clarification on the news about Sag-yu and Do-jae, they ended up hiding at Eun-ho's house. Unexpectedly, Eun-ho's parents were visiting, so they joined them for dinner. During the meal, Eun-ho asked about the scandal involving Sag-yu and Do-jae, but she denied the rumors. At that moment, Do-jae brought up Sag-yu's ability to transform, prompting her to suggest discussing it elsewhere. In a room, Sag-yu denied being able to change faces, but Do-jae suddenly took out her phone and showed her the footage of her transformation. Seeing this, Sag-yu couldn't deny it and remained silent as he presented the evidence. On another occasion, Do-jae visited his grandfather, Mr. Lim, at the hospital after learning about the dating gossip. Mr. Lim suggested that Do-jae resign because the gossip could affect the company's image. However, Do-jae rejected the advice and assured his grandfather that he would resolve the issue soon. When Do-jae left Mr. Lim's room, he accidentally bumped into Sa-ra, but due to his condition, he didn't immediately recognize his stepsister, which annoyed her. During their meeting, they briefly discussed the dating news until Do-jae realized that Sa-ra was the one spreading his photo with Sag-yu at the airport. Nevertheless, Do-jae said he would forgive her because his mother loved Sa-ra's father. On the other hand, Woo-mi reached out to a reporter to persuade him from publishing an article about Sag-yu, but Sag-yu suddenly shouted near Woo-mi's phone, claiming she was dating Do-jae. Woo-mi was puzzled by Sag-yu's behavior, and she explained that